All right.
Hey, have a
Welcome
look.
back, YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. As always, I appreciate that. Please subscribe if you like my
What about
content.
those
And today,
crazy
let's
cannibals you sent through
review
into a
Last of
land?
Us 2.
They came
It
after you
is the
guys
sequel to the
once.
much
Maybe
loved
these
first
WLFs are connected to
third-person
them.
action game, and I am
No,
a fan of the first
doesn't
game.
seem like the same group.
And let's get
Maybe those
one
black
thing out of
market
the way.
smugglers back in
This
Boston?
game
Why
has
not?
top-notch
Joel crossed a
production
lot of people.
values. It looks gorgeous. It's probably the best looking game on PlayStation 4 because I've played it on PlayStation 4. The animations are top-notch, especially the facial expressions. This game is a feast for the eyes. It's probably the best looking post-apocalyptic world and wasteland in any game I've played. Also, the voice acting is fantastic.
Maybe I just wanted to do right by her. And then we made it.
Okay, so with that out of the way, when you start the game, it's not much of a game at all. You are treated to lengthy cutscenes to establish the world and just very little gameplay. It basically plays itself during the first few hours of the game, which I found very annoying. I was thinking constantly, just get this thing going. Let me do my thing. And I understand that that serves as a tutorial, but still, there's no way to start a game like that. Now, when the narrative does pick up, well, you can actually argue it never really picks up. I mean, the first game had a great narrative. It was focusing on the bond between Joel and Ellie as they went on this trip, right? And not far into the second game, you're treated to this brutal death of Joel. And I can understand why some people were angry about that, rightly so, I think, because it's one of the best characters in the game, and the character just deserves better. But either way, the game focuses on Ellie, who, together with some other new characters, wants to take revenge for the death of Joel. Which makes little sense. I mean, sure, I understand that she wants revenge, but it makes no sense to put herself and others into harm's way to pursue these bad guys, which is way too emotional, it's way too irrational, it's going against all that she's learned from Joel and Tommy, his brother. And it doesn't make sense in that it won't bring back Joel. You know, it's Joel's dead. So the narrative feels forced and it never gets anywhere. It seems that there's a creative vacuum at Naughty Dog and they couldn't find any other story to tell and just thought, well, let's make it a revenge story. It always works. But it doesn't work in this game. And it is so unfortunate because what kept me going in this second game is Ellie, because Ellie is a great character. She feels very human. She can be grumpy, she can be funny, she can be sarcastic, she can be jealous, she has this range of emotions and attitudes that make her feel very real. And there are some really heartfelt interactions between her and other characters in this game, and also with Joel and some of the flashbacks that you're treated. But as I said, it just never goes anywhere. But what also kept me going is that this world is brilliantly designed. As I said, it's one of the best looking post-apocalyptic worlds I've ever seen in games. I mean, you'll see buildings decaying and everything is overgrown. A lot of it is window dressing, of course. It gives you a glimpse of this large city, decaying ruins of Seattle, but it then forces you to get into smaller buildings to work your way through these buildings in a fairly linear fashion. And that's basically something that you'll notice as you go along. And the game treats you to this wide cityscape and then sort of continues fairly linear. There are some open spaces here and there, but again, overall, it is a fairly linear game, which is fine by me, by the way. But it is dressed up like an open world, which it isn't, so don't expect that. But that's also an accomplishment by itself to to give the player the impression of this large city that you're going through, which, well, isn't actually. The gameplay in The Last of Us 2 is also solid. I mean, you play Ellie in third person, and you're sometimes accompanied by a tag-along, a companion, so you will, whether it be Dina, who's an interesting character as well, and some of the characters do contribute to the gameplay in that Dina will sometimes pull a handle or push a crate or something like that. They went their way to make sure that the interactions between the two feel natural, and it doesn't always boil down to you doing all the heavy lifting. Although, that's still going to happen. But they've tried to give you this idea that you're doing it together. Now, you scour the environments for ingredients, for crafting. You will find ammo for your guns. You'll find some gear that you can use. You'll find weapons in the environments. There's some simple crafting, as I said. You can craft some health packs and arrows and some other stuff, which is fine. The combat in this game is brutal. There's a good variety of creatures / zombies, some familiar, some new, and they're really terrifying, especially when you're going through these crampy, dampy, dark places, and you can be jumped by some zombie stalker. It's some of the great horror elements in this game. Also, some amazing stealth mechanics, and it's just fun to just stalk around, killing these generic soldiers that are oblivious to your existence until they notice you, and they do show some intelligence. They will pursue you through the level. In the end, I just wish that the game had taken a slightly different route for the sequel, make it less than an action game and more about survival and horror rather than just randomly killing generic enemies. That would have tied the gameplay better to the story, I think. In the end, I think this is neither the masterpiece that some think it is, nor the pile of trash that others say. But overall, I do recommend this game just for the gameplay. It's just so brutal and just freaking amazing, I believe. So yeah, that's what I think of The Last of Us 2. Let me know what you think. Leave comments, subscribe, and see you in the next video.